It's time for our 21st keynote address, which is to be delivered by Dr. Shankar Subramaniam Iyer, Senior Faculty and Business Development Manager for Institutional Business, Westford Group, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Shankar Subramaniam is an astute and result-oriented engineer, management and finance professional with over 3 decades of extensive techno-commercial experience in sales, marketing, business development, and CRM with profit accountability in various sectors like engineering, construction, mining, projects, finance, and education. Lately, he has been developing a program and course curriculum, quality assurance for business, engineering, and vocational courses, and helping deliver them, getting the same approval from sponsors, which are like Dubai Municipality, Mohammed bin Rashid Housing Establishment, and many more, like health and safety surveying inspections, draftsmanship research. He has worked as an internal verifier and external reviewer for QAT and TVET approvals, worked with NQA and MOE on education framework development. His research areas include emerging technologies like blockchain in education, data analysis, big data, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality. He is currently working with the Westford University College and Education Hub as a senior faculty and business development manager for institutional business. His areas of interest are marketing, operations, health and safety, strategic management, research and development, emerging technologies, business analytics, business sustainability, resilience and education management. सर आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत सर आपका अभिनंदन. And without wasting more time, I would request you to kindly start with your keynote address. The stage is all yours. Dr. Subramaniam Iyer.
Thank you, madam. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you and we can see you as well.
Okay. So my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Okay. So without much ado, let's go into the topic. I'll be speaking in English because I'm more comfortable with that. Sorry for the inconvenience for the Hindi speakers. So this is basically to do with the Sustainable Development Goals, one of which was an interesting aspect Dr. Shashi was referring to as social, what do you call, pollution. So whereas various different ways of looking at pollutions. So if you look at the 17 SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals as defined by UN. So they are different arms and they are integrated, and they recognize that one action or any action in one of the areas can create a imbalance in the other. So the connectivity is social, economic, environmental sustainability altogether. And all the countries of the world are committed to privatize progress for those who are furthest behind. What's imminent is the world is not equal at always. So nature also is not giving equally to everyone. So as you look at it, I mean, in whatever sense it is, you will see, because for a person, if he's without a leg, born without a leg or any of the disabilities, it is something which is not equal. So, but then they're made up in something else, maybe brain work, or they're good in some skill. So that's what they need to look at. So like that, you see the social, economic, and environmental in totality is linked, and then the sustainability comes from there. So if you look at the social sustainability, like what was said by Dr. Sashi and also by the Vice Chancellor, so it comes from the society. Okay, and then what is forming society is human beings. So it has to be, each and every human being has to be in the same state or look at it in the same way. It's not possible because we are all different. God has made us all different. So our minds and the wirings, how we are connected, how we connect with things is all going to be different. But definitely the awareness, and we keep discussing this, will slowly shift us into that kind of environment where it will be much cleaner in terms of conflict, in terms of peace. Because as you look at human lives, we are all designed for being in non-conflict or in love or compassion. So we perform best when we are in that state. So that's the inner state of each individual. So that's what we need to look at and what to be taught in the earlier days. So it can't be picked up at a much later stage. Like people say, okay, you get old, then you look at these things and that. It's not. I believe that it should be your background right at the beginning of your career. When you're born, from what culture you are, what background, what is your upbringing, what is the background of your parents, all that will go towards making this social or society a better place. So we'll slowly look at the different SDGs and try to connect it the way I would like to look at it. So the first one is we're looking at no poverty and poverty in all its forms everywhere. So which is a very difficult thing to do. As I said, the whole world is disequal or differently oriented. So maximum areas we have is with poverty. Very few are really rich. So how to get away with this disparity? Because the poverty is what is leading to also social problems and also leading to economic problems. So that's why it's connected. So if you see that if everyone is equal or everyone has the opportunities, everyone has the right to employment, everyone has equal money to spend. So you'll see the world will be a much better place. But it's not, because you will see in almost 50 to 60% of the countries, the per capita income is so low they can't even sustain their lives. So we need to remove this inequality. So that's one of the first goals of sustainable society. So we need to eradicate extreme poverty, reduce poverty by at least 50%. So these are some of the goals, but how do we go about this? So as I said, if allowed to, it should be taught at a very early age. So these were what we used to be taught in the Gurukul system. So I don't know, somehow we have left that system away and we got washed away to the Western culture, the Western ethos, which is pulling away from the Hindutva or the Hindu Sanatam, which says that everyone needs to be equal, everyone is one. So if we look that nature is one, because if we look at nature as a part of us, so definitely that's the same way nature will respond to us. All our major problems will get over and done with. So that if that is the case, then equal rights to ownership, basic services, technology, everything should be shared equally, which is not currently the case. So the sooner we get away with this disparity, the better for the world. So next is the SDG, that is a zero hunger. As I said, again, this is also connected to the economic problems. So not all countries have the same nutrition values, or because of you can even look at the example of what happened in Russia-Ukraine war. You see almost three-fourths of the world is without wheat, and in some countries it's so bad they can't, it's just surviving on maybe not even a meal per day. It's come down to that. So because the effect in one place is affecting across the world, the food security has been broken, imbalanced, and it's very difficult to get off this situation. And then obviously the target is zero hunger or end hunger. And obviously a man who is at least satisfied of his hunger. He's not going to look at crime. He's not going to look at short-term gains. So his perspective of life will be much better. So that's the goal. But then again, the disparity and the spread is not even, as I told you earlier. So third one is good health and well-being. Obviously, if you don't have the narration, you don't have the facilities, you don't have the money. So your health and this thing can go for a toss. So good health and well-being has been very important. It's been well established in the last 3 years of COVID. So we've seen literally everyone fighting for health and the well-being. And obviously, everyone didn't get the same facilities. So in some countries, the vaccines were thrown away in billions. In other countries, they were not even vaccinated, and a lot of people had to die. So this the sort of disparity and the inequality which has happened. So obviously, all the countries need to come across. The world leaders need to address this, and I'm proud to say India has taken a major lead in this, and we will keep doing it in both the food security. We are ready to feed the people who are hungry in terms of wheat and rice, which our government is taking up. But at the same time, we don't want it to be overstocked or enter into a black market, which is what happened in the vaccines. The developed countries cornered the vaccines, and it was not available to the poor countries. And it has come to such a state that it expired, and they have to dump millions on billions of vaccines into the graves and bury it. So that's a pathetic state. So at least some people would have got saved. So that's why it's all about, ultimately, it's about the human mentality. So if people are united, understand that we are all one. It's not about this country or that country or this region or male, female. We are all ultimately one. If that general feeling is there, and it should be taught, the ethos should be taught right at a young age, at the school level. So that's why education is a very important part of this. So I will go with the next SDG, that is the 4, quality education, and my whole emphasis is based on this: equal access to quality pre-education, technical education, higher education, so that all discrimination in education is removed. Now, what's happened is lots of people cannot afford to have education. You look at even in India or across the world, you see the education is so slow, so costly, and out of reach of major parents. Still, our parents borrow, beg, and send us for studies, and somehow that's the way we have come through. So you see so many software engineers and other fields which have got developed thanks to our parents. So, but then a lot of countries were not able to do that, and that was not the ethos in those countries also. So I don't have to name specifically the countries, but you see a lot of countries getting poorer and poorer in the neighborhood also. You'll see that's what happened. So if you don't have a good education, don't have the good ethos, you lead to corruption, you lead to poverty, you lead to whatever, even conflict, fighting, killing, violence, domestic violence, everything is coming from that. So if your education is good and you're taught to be one, right, with a young age, one with nature, one with yourself at peace, that's the way to go. So each of these things are equally shared and uh, looked at. So gender equality again. So why do we differentiate between male and female is again a ethos problem. Right at the young age at home, if your parents treat everyone the same, that ends. So you don't differentiate at all. For example, I've seen a lot of, in my house, we are all one. I have 2 sisters, 2 brothers, and we were all same. Treated, luckily, that's how our brothers treated us. And that's how even now, at this age, at 50, after 50 years, 55 years, we still love each other the same ways. And that's the same love we share with our neighbors, with everyone. So there's no difference between a man or a female or whatever. So if I have done my PhD. My sister has also done a PhD. So it's not that one is given the facility, the other one is not. So it's all coming from the ethos, from the background, from the education levels you have. So clean water, sanitation, of course, this is the most important resources. Resources what you have, you cannot waste it. And you have seen in many places where in deserts water is not available. So every drop of water we waste is just taking away something from a human being. So which is bad. So we need to look at clean water, sanitation, and it should reach everyone equally, and it should be given to all the people. So if I don't know, maybe last week we had a project which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Valsad district. They had managed to take maybe 600,000 million cubic meters of water to all the villages on top of the hills. Okay, so the connectivity of the rivers, the connectivity of the lakes, the connectivity of the facilities is what any country can do. And India is lucky to look at these at least now. So in the future, we'll be better off having sharing our resources. Energy after water, obviously energy. So it's not equally given to all the places. So, but then if left to renewable energy, so if you have sunlight, solar energy, wind, so these can be harnessed to move away from the oil and the fuel, the fossil fuel, which is leading to a lot of pollution. And obviously that's the answer for the next stage, and a lot of people are already working. So for example, you'll have maybe by 2030 almost 70 to 75% of the cars will be running on EV, electric cars, or any other alternate source, or maybe even solar. So that's how the world is moving, and that's what the technology is giving us. And and it's a happy place in the future maybe. Then decent work and economic growth, again it's coming back to the basics. So if you have given the opportunities of education, the opportunities of employment will automatically happen, and this could have been easily met. But because it is not, it is all different in different parts of the world and different parts of the country itself. So you look at various states, you'll see the job opportunities in UP is not the same as the job opportunities in Tamil Nadu or in Maharashtra. Okay, because the population is more, so the opportunities are much less. So that's the equation. So it's very bad in certain areas, in certain like African countries. There's absolutely no jobs, so they don't have any source of income. So countries like Kenya, Somalia, or any of those, so it's very what do you call, bad to even imagine such a thing, where people don't have resources, they don't have to eat, they don't have water to drink, and they don't have any employment. So what is that humanity is doing about it? Is again nothing. So we keep talking and giving targets to ourselves, but somehow it's not achieved. So if you look at the various SDGs, okay, so innovation infrastructure should be built up. Okay, again, this is a part of the civilized, developed societies, which is not available in the other countries. So this needs to spread. So how it can spread is again through education. So I'm coming to this thing where I'm trying to connect everything to the basic education. So there's only one answer to all this, and that's primarily the education what you receive at a very young age, and it should be free, according to me, or very minorly cost, so that everyone gets this facility, because it's only the education which can shift you out of this inequality what exists in terms of poverty, in terms of food, in terms of water, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of equality, everything. That's a single answer. Sustainability, again, I told you the pollution because of transport, other things, it's massively, it's been done by the developed countries. For example, in 1857, you can imagine uh, UK used to burn about 2 million tons of coal. Okay, at 1857. So you can imagine now we are in this age 2020 22, and India has not even reached those levels. But then that's all those Western countries will say that India or China or any of those countries are polluting the world. But what is the pollution they've already done is massive. So their carbon footprints are bad. So they keep changing their targets. We'll achieve in zero, what do you call, carbon, net carbon by 2050. Now they're already talking 2070, but not a single dollar has been spent towards the sustainability. So India is fortunate in that because our index is not very high, and our deforestation and other things are naturally not much. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, our ancestors and our parents have been one with nature, not so much like how we would like to it to be. But then, if the education is ethos are kept, I believe in the near future will be uh, much more efficient and much more sustainable societies, and prosperity will flow. So obviously, when you understand what's the cost of water, what is the what we undergo without water or food, the consumption will be very responsible. We will not waste, and that will lead to sustainability. So this is another goal of the UN, which a lot of countries are not doing. But luckily, our government is working towards this. We don't lose or waste the food what we earnest, and we try to at least protect it and also export it and also give it to people who are in need. So climate change because of the pollution is a massive issue again. So how we look at it, so people are the final answer is shifting fastly to alternate energies, to alternate what do you call, so that the carbon footprint is very less, and the planning towards all this is necessary, and which the United Nations is looking at. So as I said, the oneness shows here because we are all connected. We're connected to land, water, the sea. So sea life is what is getting affected also because of human, what do you call, misconduct. So we pollute the oceans, we pollute the seas, we pollute the life there, which is, I mean, just disastrous. Already the nature is protesting, and if it protests in a major way, it will lead to finishing humanity someday. So it's only like cutting our own legs. So we need to be very aware, and that can only come through education again. So as I said, each and every SDG is from education, and that too at a young age, so that the awareness is that, and it's not that we grow old and we will do it later. So life on land, again, similar concept. So peace, justice, the strong institutions will all flow properly if you are aware and you are given this awareness through education at the young age. Okay, partnerships for goals. So obviously, when you're looking at oneness, so we have to help each other. We have to extend this technology. We have to extend the financial resources, the human resources to achieve all these goals. So that's how it flows. So if you look at, as I said, the only answer is education. So education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. That's realized and said by Nelson Mandela. So it's easier to build up a child than it is to repair an adult. So I go with this. As I said, if you're taught all this at the young age, the chances are you'll stick to it, and we don't have to look at it at a later stage, which is a disaster. So the most potent SDG is about the education, and education can remove poverty, hunger, remove violence, make humanity one. So our social, economic, environmental goals are all met. Like all, education is the most potent, and it links all the sustainable development goals and successfully achieve the goals in long term and furthermore into a circular economy goals. Okay, circular economy means as we are starting with something, we avoid waste right at the beginning as a design. So suppose we know plastic is non-degradable material, so I'm going to use almost zero plastic right at the beginning as a design. So obviously that will not lead to a situation when plastic is there and I have to now treat all this. So that's only firefighting. So if we are looking at a circular economy and thought this right at the beginning, we will not waste energy in firefighting later. So it is designed, each and everything can be redesigned right from our education to the next stage and further on. So how to and how our countries decide ourselves is basically corruption or bad practices or not giving the right quality of education. So it said so more in at the entrance gate of a university in South Africa. The following message was posted for contemplation: destroying any nation does not require the use of atom bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in exams by the students. So patients die in the hands of such doctors, buildings collapse at the hands of such engineers, money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants, humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars, justice is lost at the hands of such judges. The collapse of education is the collapse of the nation. So as I said, it's all inbound to one, that's the education. So if education, quality education is kept in all aspects, humanity will prosper. So education links all the sustainable development goals. So education brings hope and aspirations. So working on this, my passion and research area has been blockchain and harnessing all this, what I said, into a education system as a framework which will help humanity. So if you're looking at what are the current traditional universities, what we have, we are running courses which are traditional and university centric. So here in this modern world, we are looking at micro credentials like short courses or short units. Like for let's say if you are going to be a scientist, so a scientist in a particular, let's say only looking at plastics, for example. So you got to know only about plastics. So I'm not going to teach everything of different things. So we just right from the beginning concentrate on this. Okay, so the student can select what he needs to do right from the beginning, depending on what the industry wants. And this can be routed through a proper system. Like you have education consultants, who can tell you what you require for this kind of a job. And they formulate their own curriculum looking at various parts of universities. So it's looking at a central platform where all the universities will be coming through, and this whole system can be tokenized. The only reason it was not happening all these times was because let's look at the major universities, like let's say have the uh, Harvard University. Okay, so they have a brand name, they have a big Cosmos, and they have been there for ages. So they encash on that. So that's one of the things they will never allow it to happen. But if you are on a common platform and you tokenize this own system, so they get more tokens for the goodwill and the system if they're going to come in. So obviously the tokens, like you must have heard about tokenization as Bitcoin, but Bitcoin tokenization is only one part of the blockchain. So this is a kind of a framework I am working on. So if it comes, the education system will be such you can do a PhD maybe in $3,000 to $4,000. So looking at currently if it's a good European university, you'll be looking at $200,000. So from there you can reduce it if things work out the way, if everything is coming on the same platform and you have this kind of system. So this is the education system, what I'm trying to look at, and my research area is this. And what will be the main benefits? It will have standardized curriculum for global learners. So the world, if you're looking at learners from all the countries. So we've been looking nothing less than 4 to 5 billion learners across the world. So even people who are working will reskill, upskill because of the technology changes, because of the disruption in the various fields. So you're looking at almost like a 5 billion students or learners. So all of them should have a standardized curriculum and they should have the best, the quality. So if it's that is possible, that's possible through a blockchain system. So equality and equal opportunity will automatically happen because it's all available to whoever wants it. Gender bias can be removed. Poverty mitigation is possible. All countries to benefit equally. Social and economic equality is possible. So cost rejection is almost 10% to almost 10%, 90% is gone. So less indebtedness, like the parents and the students are already paying so much and taking loans to study. They're already starting with a negative balance, which probably over the 10, 15 years, if they don't get the right jobs, they are stuck and don't know how to uh, return these loans. So they're already indebted by the time they are actually 35 or 40, which is a bad state to be in. So quality education can be promoted on a common platform. Revenue earning enhanced due to more volumes. So we're looking at a 4 billion kind of students. Then record security and transparency is very much possible on a blockchain. That's the features of the blockchain. So longevity of records, anyone can access these records anytime, their portfolio across the world. So integrated collaboration is possible. Tokenization of the education system is possible. Local nationals will get employment and employment opportunities will get enhanced. So it does answers almost all the uh, sustainable goals of the UN. So probably this kind of system can happen if the UN and many other world leaders get together. And that's the aspiration and forward lookingness for me. Thank you very much.